And one of the things that we've been really interested is in the situation with Kylen and Crystal. And I don't know, you probably haven't seen the channel at all or been following what we're doing, but we've been really thinking a lot about that case along with Gabby and Brian in that situation as well. Can you give us a rundown of your relationship with Kylen and Crystal and how you ended up on the call with us today and what some of your thoughts are?
Sure, absolutely. So I am Kylen's aunt, and her dad is my brother. So she was my first niece and my baby girl. So she's very close to her in my life. Um, and I had originally ran a group for Kylen and Crystal when they were missing on Facebook. That group converted to a Justice for Kylen and Crystal page. I have now converted it to a Remembering Kylen and Crystal page. And when we obtained a PI, Jason Jensen, when he joined the case, we started a public page, Who Killed Kylen, Schulte and Crystal Turner. And Avery from your show, I guess, reached out to the page a couple minutes ago and said you guys were live and asked if Sean Paul could hop on. So I called my brother. He is in bed for the night already, and I said I'll take it. So I've been doing a lot of the media interviews, and I've managed the timeline for the case and trying to keep all of the facts straight and supporting my brother through all of this. So
If
here I
if
am.
you have a document of that timeline, if you can send it on email to me, that would be amazing. I'd love to see it because I built sort of a timeline of my own that's and I just love to look at yours and see how they're connected. But when you're thinking about this, and I'm so sorry what you've had to deal with. I mean, it's been so heartbreaking for me to just see and hear. I'm so sorry that you've had to go through that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Bridget, let me give you some background and how I came to dig into this case really hard. So I started out with Gabby, and then there was a lot of questions that came up about Kylan and Crystal, and I said, "Oh, there's no way that can't happen." But then as I started going through the Dirt app that Gabby and Brian were using, it was starting to come up to really close to where they were looking at Warner. Are you still there, Bridget?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I just
Oh,
muted
oh,
uh, out of habit if I wasn't talking.
okay. Yeah. So no. Anyway, so it started to really bother me that there hadn't been any murders out here in Moab for so long. And so as I started to get into it, I went back and watched the long video, and then Brian said, "Yeah, we spent the whole day on the 12th at the Moonflower," and I know that that's the day that Kylan worked. So I know she got off a half an hour early or whatever, but that would have been. I just
Yep.
can't see Gabby and Kylan not connecting in some way, shape, or form, spending 6 hours that close to each other on the 12th. I just can't imagine. They had the same interest in van life. They had the same interest in marijuana or whatever. And I have to think that they would have talked about the campsites, Warner Lake, and all the different places they could have gone. Just even if it was casual, they would have talked. So when you see that argument that happens between Gabby and Brian on the 12th, and they're driving back up to the Delicate Arch or Go Get Water, Brian doesn't know who turned him in. And I think he was thinking the whole time that it was Kylan. And so he's sitting at the
Mm,
Bowen Motel when he gets back, and he's looking straight across from the Bowen Motel, and he's looking dead at the Moonflower and just furious. And also feeling like a very little man because his girlfriend, who's 100 pounds, is the one that's the assailant. He's the victim.
right.
And so he's super, super
Yeah,
mad. And so
sure. Yeah.
Cindy
So
Sue's
sorry. Go ahead.
Cindy Sue's description of when she found the bodies on the 18th was critical in being able to connect it all together. That rabbit that was in the cage for a very long time to be dirty, that's what made me push the time that they were killed way back. I know the police went out and looked for them and they didn't find them, but Cindy Sue went out in 5 hours. She found them, but the police looked for the entire day and couldn't find them. just horse whatever.
Yeah. So, and it's, and you'll hear it in some of my interviews if you come across any of them. And I talk about how the police was an attempt to locate, because they wouldn't take it as an official missing person report,
Okay.
which is an issue and a concern in today's day and age as it stands. We had every reason to believe that they were missing, because of circumstances, because their Econoline van being in town was fine. They keep it parked there, but the Harley being left for an extended period of time was
Right.
completely abnormal behavior. They would not do that. So we
Yeah.
knew there was something wrong. So, and that's why my brother's pleas were beyond, please Moab, please someone find my girls. I need someone to go find my girls. And knowing that it was more than just, than what
Have
the
they,
police were going to do with an attempt to locate.
Bridget, have they released anything with respect to the autopsies or cause of death or any of that
No,
stuff yet?
so cause of death we know is from gunshot. So, and we learned that from, when the report was released in the media,
Oh my.
that yes, and someone from the investigation had just met with my brother, and about a half an hour later we start getting pinged that this police report, the media had just picked it up, and it included the gunshots to chest, back, side, and that they were partially unclothed, and that one of them had their bra was above their chest.
Oh my goodness.
That is how we got that information, was from the report being released in media, and that is as much as we know. We
But
do not know what size of gun. We do not know caliber. We do not know if they have DNA from it. We do not know, but cause of death, gunshot.
That's what I was about to ask, if you knew anything about any kind of ballistics report.
Nope,
well,
none.
Cindy Sue, when she described the police officer after he had found Crystal's body, she was very descriptive, and that's what I was looking at. If you go back and you look at Brian's Instagram and his Pinterest, you see some horrible things, obviously guns and other things, but that officer, when he came out, his top lip was quivering and he could not speak to Sue. And it wasn't because he didn't want to, he just couldn't.
Right.
So do you know that officer involved? Was that typical of his behavior, or was it something?
Oh, I don't. I have never even been to Moab. I
Um,
live in Maryland.
Because
I mean,
I
I'm originally from Montana.
So part of the
So
connection where I see that officer wouldn't have been able to talk is some of the horrible things that I see in Brian's Instagram, his Pinterest, and the really terrible things. So that's why I think that's connected.
right, like his expressions and his interest in that type of crime.
He has a lot of pictures of ribs being exposed and gore and really ugly things that I
Yes.
imagine a cop that was really big like he was, that was unable to talk to Sue, that's the same type of staging that I think you would see. And Sue also said that Kylen's arms were in a bent, weird shape. And Brian has this crazy affiliation with this Zoidberg thing with bent arms. It's ridiculous. So I know. So it just seems way too many coincidences here. And I've spelled it out on my timeline on Twitch. And I did talk to Jason Jensen, and he's going to go through my timeline. It's 3.5 hours. So.
Okay, great.
Bridget, what are some things that you just want to say that I just want to hear you talk? I just want to let you talk about whatever you want to talk about and allow us just to listen.
Sure. I tell you right now, anytime we have a chance for public to listen, on the Who Killed Kylen, Schulte, and Crystal Turner public page on Facebook, if you go on that page, There is a video of Jason driving to the scene after the fact. We need anyone that may have been in the Moab area from August 12th to August 18th, so a day or two before they were missing to the day they were found, that may have any video footage. It might be a GoPro, it might be a drone, it might be a dash cam, something that may have caught a car coming on or off. It's
I mean, you'd
FR
think somebody from that wedding
4651.
party would.
Yeah, anything, but they may not know that they have it. They may not know that they need to have it. They may not have heard the story yet. I just last week had one of my best lifetime friends just heard the story for the first time, just because I don't talk to her that often anymore and she's not on social media. And I'm not going to call every single person in my life and say, "Hey, did you hear my niece got killed?" Like, it's just not
Yeah.
something you do.
Yeah.
So, and she's somebody who's met her before, and she just heard the story, and she's in California. So there's people who don't know yet and
Oh my
might
goodness.
have that footage that breaks the case. So I just ask, and Moab is such a tourist destination. So if there's anybody that might have something or know someone that, is into drones or hiking or rock climbing or was in Utah, and that from August 12th to August 18th, that's what's going to break the case, is some seeing a car, seeing somebody, something. I just feel like that's what we
Bridget,
need.
Bridget,
So
didn't
that's
they
a
have
big ask right now.
Bridget, didn't they have the group from the Whispering Oaks put together a list of everybody that was towards the front?
They have the entire wedding list.
And have they gone
The
through and checked the
authorities
third
have
group?
had access to that. No idea.
Okay.
That
We
must
have
suck.
asked
Like,
that
don't know what
everybody,
they're doing.
yeah.
It's a
Oh, thanks
shame.
for pulling that up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, we on the justice page, which, like I said, we've now converted it to a remembering page. We have over 11,000 people following that, and we want people to respect the wedding, not be bombarding these people. The wedding page has their personal information on it. We don't want just everyone attacking them. Um, and the authorities have had the information. Hopefully, they're doing their due diligence. But even if just the wedding party knows, God forbid it's someone from the wedding party that did this,
I
but
know.
just that they know, because they're probably visiting, they're probably taking footage. They might have a picture that has something in the background, and they don't even realize that they have something that could break the case.
Because it was so close. Did they give Avery sent a super chat and was just wondering, did they give any description of the creepy guy other than it was a creepy guy?
No. And it's, and I've said it before. I'm like, if it was me talking to my friends and I'm like, oh, I saw this guy, totally creeped me out. It's just not in nature to say what was the description, or to even remember a description, or to say, I saw this creepy guy, he was wearing, a black shirt, jeans, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's, it was more in passing kind of conversation. There's this guy creeping us out. We're probably going to have to move. Let's chill, hang out, have fun. Kind of,
I heard Sean Paul. I've watched all the interviews of his that I could find, and just really intrigued, and just trying to find ways I can pray for you and pray for him, and just, I just believe justice is coming, and I don't know what that looks like, but I believe the best for you, and I'm praying for you, Bridget. I know Sean in one of the interviews felt like there was no connection to Brian Laundrie. Now the private investigators came out and said, well, maybe there's a connection. Has Sean changed his mind on that, or?
I don't think so. I think it's more that, he did. I mean, God bless him. He did his own clue booth in Moab.
My heart
to
broke
say
for him that he went and did that every day. I just feel
every
like this
day.
connection to him, because I don't know what it is. Just like, here's a dad just out there every day hoping random people will show up so that he can get
Yeah.
some insight. Like, and then what happened to his son a few years ago? It's like I work as a pastor, and I just really believe that, you know, God has a greater purpose. I know that's hard to hear, but I know that he's the God who
Oh,
makes
it's
good
we're a
things out of
faithful
bad
family.
things.
So, gosh, if we weren't, I don't know how we'd get through any of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're yeah. So I think because of that and doing his clue booth, and that a lot of it seemed like very valuable clues, that that's probably why he can just weigh Brian as might be a suspect, might not be, because he got information about so many other potential suspects, that he's given that information to the local authorities. So I think that that's a big difference in his opinion, is he sat in that park in Moab
Wow.
every day hearing different stories from locals with different information. Um, it's just, you know, Brian as a possible suspect obviously has a much larger microscope on it.
Wow.
Well, I've tried to work the timeline as hard as I can, and I don't come up with any other situation except Brian. I obviously was focused on him and their travels and their connection to Warner Campground, all the sites over there, the Moonflower. It seems to all fit to me. Could be wrong, but I think it's very, very well done.
Yeah, yeah, it's you know, I hope we have an answer someday. I fear my niece becoming a cold case. That's probably one of my biggest fears, is how do you move on from a and become a cold case?
Mhm.
Um, to
We're
just
gonna
have
work
answers,
hard
and I
with you
know.
to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Would it be okay if I prayed with you right now?
Absolutely.
So, Father, I just thank you for Bridget. I thank you for Sean Paul. And I just pray your word declares you're close to the brokenhearted. I just pray they sense your nearness, they sense your closeness. And I pray for divine wisdom, supernatural favor from God, just to flow into their hearts, flow into their minds, ultimately, that there can be justice brought to this situation where there are no answers. Lord, I just ask that you would provide answers. And Lord, I pray for supernatural peace, supernatural strength that surpasses all understanding. In Jesus' name, amen. Bridget, please keep in touch with
Amen.
us. I wanna keep in touch with you, and just whatever I can do to help. And we got a little bit of an audience that's building here, and all of us are interested in how we can help you guys too. So please, please, please keep in touch.
And Bridget, I just
Thank you.
posted you
Yeah,
there.
I
I
appreciate it.
posted my Discord there and stuff. So if you ever want to chat, come on in.
Okay. And I'm looking for whatever email addresses to send you my timeline.
It's just press@tylerfeller.com. It's on the screen.